Hello, our lovely Girl Awakening listeners. Welcome to 2023. I'm Jo Hendy from the Sacred Sister Project.
I'm Amanda Parker of Mayala Organics.
Come with us as we journey into this week's Awakening episode.
I talk to a spirit. She comes.
I was waiting for you.
I love that.
Move.
Yes, she got me. Hello, lovely lady.
Good morning, Jo.
Oh, here we are, podcast
Yes.
Tuesday, as Jamie would say. It's a
Yes.
shout out to Jamie.
Hey, Jamie. Sunrise walks.
Yes, yeah. Here we are, another beautiful guest today. A young, fresh.
Yes.
Yeah, love it.
With a big story.
Yeah, and who came in not knowing anything about what she was about to talk about, and we kind of broke the ice real early, didn't we?
Yeah, we pointed her in the wrong direction just to see how resilient she was.
And she's very.
And she went there.
Love her already.
So we're going to introduce our next guest today, who is an absolute lover and believer of manifestation. And after years of experiencing the competitive and negative side of the film and television industry, she started Pass Around the Smile as a blog in the hope to spread positivity and literally to pass around the smile. As it often is when we start to look at life differently and diving into learning as much as she could, our guest began to experience her own crazy experiences using the law of attraction and felt pulled strongly to spread the word even further. Love that.
Yeah, me too.
An actor and speaker from the Gold Coast, Australia, Cleo Massey is owner of Pass Around the Smile, a company but also a movement that has touched thousands around the planet. Thank you, Cleo, for joining us today.
Yay.
Thank you for having me. Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad I practiced reading that because I cried.
Yeah, Amanda was feeling it big
Toughened up
time.
the next time.
That was, really, really beautiful. A lot in there and so much to share.
Yeah, a lot
really
to share.
Yeah, and you do. Yeah, so beautifully. So basically, now that we've introduced you to everybody, we're going to dive straight in.
We are.
Let's do it.
Cleo,
Yeah.
how did your awakening begin?
I feel like I've had two awakenings.
Yes, beautiful.
So I think I had one awakening at the very early age of 11,
Yeah.
which is when I first got the role on H2O.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I think that was an awakening, and I still believe it to be an awakening because getting that role and filming for the next 4 years was just everything.
Yeah,
It
wow.
was just the most incredible experience. I was completely myself. I remember Mum and Dad would say, like, when I'd get home from a day on set, that I was just elated. Like, I was just full of energy. I was just so fulfilled at such a young age too. That's quite rare, I guess, because we don't even really know what we want to do then.
Yeah.
So I did count my, lucky stars for getting that role so early, and it really was kind of the best introduction that a young girl could get to the film and television industry because it was literally a show about mermaids. We're filming at
It's iconic around the world.
yeah, and it's so nostalgic, I think, for a lot of people, and a lot of adults still say that they go back and watch it and relive their childhood.
Oh
and
my goodness.
it's so special, and I actually lived in the story. So I was in this magical world of mermaids, and we filmed at Warner Brothers, and on our lunch breaks we'd go and sneak through and go on the rides, and it was such a good experience. The crew was so beautiful. The cast was amazing. So I think my awakening first was that.
Yeah.
But then I had an adult awakening in 2015.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow.
It's almost like you can't beat that first experience in a way because it was just so perfect and fairy tale in every way.
Yeah.
Yes.
And such a incredible experience to what that world can be about.
Yeah.
On the 360 degrees of the story, your co-actors, the environment that you're in.
Just everything about it was like you said, like a fairy tale. Yeah. And I think because I was so young as well, I was very protected and respected on set, and it was just such a beautiful introduction to the film and television industry. However,
I was thinking it's so fantastic because you don't hear, it's very rare that you hear a child come out of a film and television, that high end side of things where they've been looked after and protected.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Very, very lucky.
Yes.
And
still sane and normal and healthy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
But coming out of it, but yeah, coming out of it though, then experiencing the reality of the film and television industry and what it has to offer at its harshest. That was hard because I almost went into the film and television industry after H2O wrapped. With rose-coloured glasses. I was going to say, like, a
bit of an illusion, hey? Yeah. So what happened then? Like, what were your thoughts around that? Because you were 11. I was going to say, how old were you when H2O finished?
I was 15.
Yes.
Wow. So I was in halfway through grade 11. Yeah. So I was actually really excited to just do year 12 and go to school every day. Yeah. Because through H2O, I was like, doing my work on set and not being able to go on excursions and not being able to participate in like art school things. And, you know, at 14 and 15, like I was starting to really care about, you know, what I looked like or what people thought of me. Yeah. So it was it got hard. So when it finished, it was so devastating, but I was also like, no, I just kind of want to be a normal kid, go to school, you know. So did that. And then when I graduated year 12, that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm ready. I'm ready to become the successful actress that I so desperately wanted to be. Yes. And it was all I believed that I was good at. It's all I believed that was meant for me. Yeah. And I was ready to put all of my energy, all of my time, all of my money into becoming that actress. Yeah. And I did for the next, 2010 I graduated. So the next 5 years, it was absolutely everything. And then beyond that as well. But 2015, things kind of changed a bit. Yeah. But it was that time from when I graduated year 12, the years after that, I was left feeling quite empty, quite unfulfilled, really negative, and stuck in the world of comparison. Wow. It was so competitive. Yeah. I was flying to Sydney every second week for auditions, which would sometimes be 2 minutes long. Yeah. And I was working all these casual jobs because I'd spent my H2O money on a car and a laptop. Yeah. And then I was working, these casual jobs to get the money to go down to Sydney. But it was hard because fans of the show were coming in and they'd ask me questions like, why are you working at a juice bar? Or you're you're working in a cafe now. Are you not
famous?
Yeah, have you not gone on to do anything else? And it was hard.
Oh, you poor thing. I can imagine it was like a big drop down to earth kind of thing. Or the bubble was popped kind of thing. And it was because I can imagine how many auditions would have you gone for before you got the job with H2O? Many?
Before H2O, not too many because I was so young.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have experienced that hard slog of what an actor really goes through. Yeah.
I thought it was easy. Yes. Because I got this job easy and then the process was so great and amazing. And so I got out and I was like, I'm just going to land a job. I'm going to land a huge role in a blockbuster comedy. And then it's just all going to flow. But it didn't. Yeah. And that was hard. Yeah. And I think because I had the role from such a young age, being an actor became a part of my identity. Yeah. So when I wasn't able to live it out, I was so confused and I was left feeling so lost. I was like, why can't I do the one thing that I want to do? Wow. Even though I was doing acting classes and whatever.
Still in that world.
I wasn't,
not really fully in the world.
And it was hard because some of my co-stars went on to immediate success. So I was constantly not feeling I constantly felt like my best was not good enough. Yeah. And I also had some really yucky things happen with some agents, some managers, yucky things happened with my American visa, and the industry really, really did slap me in the face about 100 million times after H2O. Yeah. So
So that's really interesting. Yes.
11 to 15 is very formative years.
I was going to say, absolutely. And as a young girl, because you're going through so many things yourself. Yeah. And then to have all that happen on top of that, it's like, holy shit, what the hell? Why did I deserve this?
Yeah.
What did I do to deserve this?
Yeah. So what was the turnaround point?
So the turnaround point was in 2015 when not only did I feel really crappy because I wasn't getting the roles and because I was putting in, everything and just not getting anything in return, but I was really sad and I guess kind of angry about the fact that the law of attraction, which is a law that I believed in so deeply. And when I was in H2O, I had read the book The Secret for Teens, and that gave me a good introduction into, you know, what you think about, you bring about, and that you can, you know, visualize what you want, bring it into your physical reality. So I had kind of, I thought I knew everything. Looking back, I'm like, oh, you knew nothing. But by 2015, I could manifest some things so easily using the law of attraction to such tiny detail that I had no choice but to know that I did create that. Yeah. But then when it came to acting, I just couldn't manifest the roles. Yeah. And during, around 2015, I was getting a lot of signs, whether it was other people saying to me or whether it was seeing things on bill, whatever it was, especially through, I was doing angel card readings all the time. And every single time I would do my spread, I would get spiritual healer, writer, and speaker. Wow. And I would get angry. Like, I don't want that. Yes. Where's like the acting cards, the success cards? Like, this is not what I want. I would literally get angry at my angel cards, and I was like, "You the first. This is not what I want."
You're not listening.
Yeah. But of course, the universe had a far better plan and could see possibilities that I couldn't see. But I was so attached to the one outcome of acting. And that's all I'm good at, and that's all that's meant for me, that I was blocking everything else. So it wasn't until I finally decided, you know what, something's not working. Yeah. I'm resisting. Yeah. I am totally blocking the process. I need to give up that control. And it's so hard, right, to give up control when you care about something so much. Deeply, yeah, and also, like, I was caring about it for the wrong reasons. Like, I was caring about it because I wanted to prove to others that I could do it, and to myself. And I was doing it because I got a role young, so I should, you know, and they're not good enough reasons.
You can see how it can work. Why does it just keep happening?
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of thought if I was to, you know, give writing or whatever these cards were saying a go, that it meant that I was giving up on acting. But during this time of like confusion and trying to let go and trust the process, this idea came to me to start a blog called Pass Around the Smile. And to be completely honest, when the idea came to me, I wasn't that excited about it. It seemed quite small and unexciting because I was chasing these huge dreams. Like, I was chasing getting the call that was like, you've got the lead in this, felt like big, exciting things. So when this idea came to me, I was like, it's not what I want, but I've told myself I'm going to trust the process, go with the flow and make some changes. And it's so crazy what happens when you give up control. Like, life actually starts to flow with you instead of against you. So
I want to ask a question there too. A couple of things. So you said you read the book The Secret for Teenagers. So did someone give that to you, or was that your own?
I think my mum maybe got it. I mean, I can't remember.
Yeah, that's
a good question.
Because that's an interesting thing. Because that can be a massive turning point, because that can shift your whole reality.
It did.
Yes.
It changed my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you said you started doing angel cards, and you just said that like it was nothing to you, you know. But like sometimes that can be a massive shift in awareness that can come in for a young girl. Yes. You know, to think about trusting something like that. Even though at that stage you weren't really trusting what they were giving you, but you were doing them anyway. So there was something bigger inside of you that was saying, no.
Looking.
Yeah, you were already asking and looking.
Yeah, that's exactly
right.
Which
is true, because there's this is the whole thing too at the moment. There's a massive shift occurring that we all are aware of. And some people aren't picking up the signs.
And that's the thing. If you're not in alignment, the signs are still there, but you're not going to see them.
That's right. Yeah.
And I wasn't, because I was completely blocking them. I didn't want to know. Yeah. I was being really stubborn. I was like, nah, that's not what I want. And I think so often we think we know what's best for us. Like, you are you, I am me. We know what we want. Yeah. But sometimes we don't.
No.
Like, I was so sure that was right for me, but it was absolutely not at that time. And just trusting the timing as well. Yeah. But as you say with the angel cards, so Mum had like 7 decks of angel cards. Yeah. And when I was a kid, slowly but surely, I'd take decks and they'd have a permanent place on my shelf.
Yes. That's like my daughter.
Yeah. So growing up, I was lucky to have that because Mum had them there. But maybe I can't remember how I got the book The Secret, but it did change my life.
Yeah. So that's a big book. For a young girl.
Yeah. Well, it was the version for teens, which I so recommend.
I didn't even know. Yeah, there was one, but that's so cool.
It's really simple.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, of course, I read the one for adults as I got older, but the one for teens is really good. And I had my first experience from that book on the set of H2O because I had a really bad day on set.
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember my lines.
Oh, wow.
And I was so embarrassed because I was holding up a set of like 60 people.
A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. And I could not for the life of me get this line right. And I knew that they were like paying for the location and that we had to move on to the next scene. And when I finally got the line right, everyone cheered and like they were just being nice.
Yeah.
But I burst into tears
Yeah.
and was so embarrassed. And when I got home, I was so fearful of the next day that I was going to stuff up.
Yeah.
And I was creating this fear and this limiting belief, obviously, but then I had learned in The Secret, well, you know, the law of attraction doesn't just work for tangible things. It also works like I can manifest a good day on set.
Yeah.
So I went to sleep visualizing it and feeling the feelings of feeling really proud and happy after a good day on set.
Yeah.
And it played out exactly how I imagined it.
That's so
and that
beautiful.
was a big moment for me. I was like, I can use this.
This works.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can shift energy too.
Yeah.
Change my reality.
Yeah.
Change.
That's so powerful.
It's a big awareness to have around how you can take yourself out and then reach into a tool that can pull yourself back into self again, isn't it? And see it actually happen.
It's incredible. It's so magical. And sometimes I am like, this law is so magical, like it's too good to be true. But then I remind myself of the science that backs it. And it is true. It's literally energy attracting energy. It's crazy.
It's so funny because our next question, it's just beautiful, is what did you first notice, when did you first notice a shift in your thoughts about the world? So this is exactly what we're kind of talking about too, you know, because that that shift that you had in your creating, now I know I can create everything, basically energy things, if I really put my mind to it. So did you have any shifts about the world when this was happening? Because this is more of a self-creating thing.
I think, again, I feel like all of these questions are relating to like the first awakening and the second awakening. So the first awakening, the shift would be just that, what you said. And then the second awakening in 2015, I think was that giving up of control and seeing how everything can change so quickly once you just let go and trust the process. Like I think we all think that the more control we have, the more control we have. But I actually think it's the opposite.
Absolutely.
And we're getting in the way of the universe's plan. And when I say universe, by the way, that's just what I feel like the universe can be whatever to anyone.
Absolutely. Source, God.
Yes.
All of the above.
Just a ball of energy, someone you love in heaven, whatever.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it was this big like, whoa, I can actually do less and attract more. Like, I love how Gabby Bernstein talks about that. And it's like when we have this desperate energy and we're so attracted to the one outcome, it won't happen.
We're constricting, aren't we? We're actually constricting whatever happens.
Yeah. And if we are vibrating on a energy that's like desperate, we're going to attract desperate energy back and other people, things, circumstances that are vibrating on that same low energy. So I think, what I learned then about the world was that it's okay to let go. And when you let go, actually, it's better. And I've been learning a lot about the law of rhythm lately. And the law of rhythm is all about that, like, you know, to and fro, up and down, like the waves go in and out, and trusting that when we're going through something, the law of rhythm is going to take us back up again. You know, like, so getting comfortable in that law of rhythm and the trust that everything's working out how it should. Just enjoy the process, you know.
Wow.
Don't miss out on the experience. And actually Trevor talks about that as well with the waves when he was going with the current. And just letting the current work for him and not fighting it.
I love that.
And coming back up.
Because, you know, it's
where he needs to be.
And a lot of people, this is horrible, but a lot of people drown when they fight the current.
You're right,
because they run out of energy.
So true.
It's such a life metaphor, you know. It's like when they let go and they just trust that this current is going to take me wherever I need to go. And I'll be free and I'll be out and I'll be safe. But it's so hard. When you're in it, that's the other thing. When you're in it,
it's so hard. And when you want something so bad.
and you want to hold on.
Yes.
And the thought of letting go, no.
Terrifying.
Yeah, terrifying.
It's a strong identity well.
Is.
Like, it's like who we see ourselves as.
Yes.
And even though there's this other part of ourselves that is just as bright and just as sparkly, we're not seeing her. We're seeing it, you know.
And there's so many aspects, because we think if we go that way, that means I have to change. And then, and most people are scared of change.
Exactly.
Who will like me if I'm like that?
Yeah.
Or will I still be loved?
The fear of judgment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you were saying. It's like when you jump and you just go, which I think is probably where you're going to go next. You know, after having the realization that you actually had to, even though that you know, this new venture of yours was terrifying and didn't feel as big as acting was, you had to go anyway to have the experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I wish I could say to you guys that I jumped in head first.
It's never the way. It's never the way.
But it was good for me, because we always look back and everything makes sense, and we've learnt so many lessons, and I never ever thought that I would get to a stage where I would look back and think, I'm so glad I didn't get those acting jobs. Like because those acting jobs to me were everything. Like, I cannot count the amount of times I've cried or had, you know, anxiety attacks over this acting world. And to be at a place now where I'm like, I'm so happy that did not work out the way I wanted it to. So when I got the idea for the blog, yes, I started the blog straight away. Yeah. And, you know, a few people read it. Mum, Dad, Luke, my dog. But it was very slow. But I just kept trusting that if I'm writing about things that I enjoy, I'm teaching myself and I'm helping other people. So I was writing about the law of attraction, finding your right path, surrendering, releasing, all of the kind of woo-woo self-development topics that Pass Around the Smile is still about. I was writing about. And slowly but surely, people started to resonate. And that felt really good and kind of sparked something inside of me. But it still wasn't still didn't make complete sense. But I kept trusting the process. And during this time, I was living in LA and having a really hard time. I didn't really fit in well over there. I really struggled with the people just wanting to climb the ladder. And I was like, I just really like acting. I don't want to go to that networking event. I don't want this for money or for fame. I just, you know.
Who's going to be there? Who do I need to stand next to? Yeah,
it was really hard. Kept trusting, kept writing. And then when I came back to the Gold Coast, again with no role, coming back from LA with no role was devastating for me. See, I was still holding on at this stage. I was still, I had started the blog, but I was still in the thick of like, this still needs to be everything. And I kind of thought, I was like, okay, universe, like I'm listening to you, I'm writing my blog, so where's the role? It wasn't.
We're doing this for that.
So I was still in the wrong mindset. Like, I still was playing a game.
I'm hearing you, and I'm sure lots of others
so many, and when you look back, you realize it's transition. But at the time, it's like, well, you know, I'm giving, so you know, where's my reward?
Yes, exactly. Which is not, you know, but it's hard.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely.
So I came home, and I was feeling really unfulfilled again. I was like, wow, I've come home again. I don't have a role. Where am I going to get a job this time when I come back? And then I said to the universe, I was like, I need a sign. Like, I need a sign so clearly. And I just decided then and there that I wanted it to be a whale. Because the day before, this idea...
Don't have them.
No, it was in winter, I'll admit. So I said, it was the day before, and this idea had kind of come to me to do a Pass Around the Smile live event. And I was like, okay, this kind of makes sense. And where this idea came from was the week before I was invited to speak at a women's like networking kind of event. Beautiful. And I cannot tell you, well, actually, no, I can tell you, because it was the same feeling of fulfillment speaking that I got when I was on H2O. And as I was driving home from Brisbane with my mum and my friend, I was like lit up again. And I was like,
oh, that's so cool.
And I was like, oh my God, Cleo, all this time you kept pulling the speaking card and the writing led you to the speaking. And it's all about spiritual healing, which was the other card I kept pulling. And it wasn't until I was invited to, you know, speak at this event, I did it. I came home and I thought, I need to do a Pass Around the Smile live event.
Yeah.
But then the next day, I was filled with limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Who's going to come? Who's going to buy tickets? You didn't go to uni. You're not smart enough.
Yeah.
All of
what have you got to say?
Exactly. All of that.
Mm.
And then that's when I said, universe, I need a sign. Please show me a whale, but I need it to be so clear. I need it to be so in my face if I am meant to do this event. And I think it was the next day, and I was going for a walk from, at the time I was living at my parents' still, so at my parents' house to this spot on the beach that I loved, like point A to point B. That's where I was walking. That's always where I walked, there and back.
Yeah.
But I was walking and I had forgotten about the whale. It was like the next day,
That's
you
what
know.
happens, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had the strongest urge to just go right at this random point. I'd never walked down this street before, but I was like, I'm learning to trust the process.
Yes.
So walked down
I
and
nearly
realized,
said, good girl.
That's good girl, trust the process. Walk down that street. And when I got to the end of the street, I was at the beach and I kind of looked down and I was probably about 2.5 Ks away from where I was supposed to be going.
Yeah.
And there were 2 whales playing so close into the shore. And not only were the whales there, it was a mum and a baby, but everyone on the deck was talking about whales. And then they included me in their chat. And whales this, whales that, whales this. And I was like... And I always...
And the whale drops his tail and splashes you.
Yeah, literally just jumps out.
Yes, exactly. Oh my
And when I'm telling this story at my events, I always go to say I ran home, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't run.
I love that.
I don't run. I walked very briskly
floated home.
Floated home.
We're not runners, we get you.
I created the event.
Oh my
It
God.
sold out.
Yeah.
It was mostly my family and friends. There was a couple of people
Who
I didn't know,
cares?
but it's not the point.
It's
Yeah.
not the point.
Yeah.
That's
you-
the other thing. That's
you
a
acted
beautiful
on the
little
energy. Yeah.
thing right there too. It doesn't matter.
No.
Even if 4 people turned up
Doesn't
and you
matter.
did the same speech and you had the same feeling.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
The energy's
That's
there.
what it's
Those
all
people
about.
are there because they're plugging into you, and you know, really, your family and friends. You know, it just shows what a close community that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so special. I felt
Yeah.
really supported. And it was that night that changed everything.
Oh.
Like, I was like, oh my God.
By the way, she's
everything.
fibbing. It was more than family and friends. There was a lot of people there.
That's so I love Keep going. So
Well, just everything made sense.
Yeah.
And I was using my acting kind of ability, I
Yeah.
guess, through my speaking. And
absolutely.
I don't know, everything just flowed. And then the next 3 months I held 2 more events.
Yeah.
And my third event I held in this big space. It's not there anymore. It's called the Burleigh Common. And 100 people came.
Yeah.
And there was so
Beautiful.
many people I didn't know.
Yeah.
And it literally, from there, I really did learn to give up control. And that's when everything just started flowing. At my third event, I was giving out this other girl's deck of cards to everyone. And I thought, God, I've loved angel cards forever. Why don't I create my own?
Yeah.
And then I created my own deck, and it's still, to me, the proudest I've ever been.
Yeah.
And I've now created 4 decks and journals, and Pass Around the Smile is a full company and a store.
Amazing.
And I hold events and 4-week courses on all of this stuff that I love. Like, it literally lights me up so much. And
We
I
did want to put a light on in the room this morning, but I don't need one because
It's so beautiful because do you ever have the thought now that acting was never your thing? That acting was preparing you?
Okay, so funny you say that. So I'm proud to say I've been seeing a psychologist.
Yep.
And I started seeing a psychologist actually because the Imperfects podcast made it seem okay.
Oh, yes,
Like they
yeah,
really did remove the stigma.
Yes.
Yeah.
And seeing this psychologist for a year, she's so incredible. And we've talked about everything in the acting world, and I didn't realise what I went through until she validated that it was all okay. And I've now realised that, acting is not my identity.
Yeah.
But I know that I am still meant to do it, but in a completely different capacity.
I feel that.
love this.
Yeah, I
Like
feel it.
now, I am so fulfilled in what I'm doing with Pass Around the Smile that I'm vibrating high.
Yeah.
Acting roles are coming
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
But they're not the acting roles that I once wanted.
Yes.
They are with people that I trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're comedy.
Yeah.
And they're filming in Australia.
Yeah.
I don't want to be anywhere else. Like holidays, but I don't want to live anywhere else.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy because I was able now to set these boundaries and feel okay in myself to say no.
Yeah.
Because I'm not desperate anymore for that role to complete me.
Because you're more than that.
Yeah, thank you.
Far out. Like, you know, and I think that's a big thing with acting. So a lot of people put themselves,
my gosh,
somewhere below.
So low.
Yeah.
I had no self-worth.
Yeah.
And that was, a lot of that was taken away from me by casting agents and directors and managers and agents that stole my money and that lied to me and that told me I was crap, or told me my manager in LA told me
to get, your legs made shorter.
Cut them off.
You have to be a very strong human to work in that world.
Yeah.
And because I have a son that works in this world, and he's just become so complacent, like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like he says
attached.
to me, he's not attached anymore.
That's so good.
He does an audition and it's like, if I get it, I get it. I don't care. He goes back to his normal life, which he finds fulfillment in.
Amazing.
And he's cruising, and he hasn't had any major roles, but he's still loving the aspect. I think that you love the part where you get to go and you get to be completely someone else.
Yes.
And take on that role and have fun with it and all of that. Then you walk away and you're still you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good on him, because it's a hard place to get to.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy to say I'm finally in it now, but I see so many friends as well that aren't, and my heart aches for them because I know how unfulfilling it can feel, and how devastating waiting for that role. Like, it's like a roller coaster. You get an audition, you're like, this is the one, this is going to change my life. You put everything into learning it. You probably fly somewhere to do the audition, and then you just hear nothing, or you see on social media that someone else got it, and you're just like, why wasn't I enough? And like that,
where's the human factor, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
I can see what you were describing before when you share about your psychologist, how people can be taken advantage of in ways like, sexually abuse, all those kind of things, because
they're so vulnerable, aren't they?
So vulnerable, and you get disconnected from yourself. And as you say, when the grooming is there for taking away your self-worth, you're kind of doing things before you realise where you're at. And then you're way down a road that doesn't seem to have a door on it. So it's a crazy industry / entity of its own, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
It is.
And when you're talking about your vibration, what difference that's creating and what you're attracting in this area, there's so much goodness in the industry as well. Some amazing things happen through films and documentaries and comedy. My God, incredible. Comedy, where would we be without that?
Exactly.
So, that's an incredible thing to be able to acknowledge of where you're at in yourself, what's coming to you now. And what you're willing to choose or accept, and express yourself.
It feels quite empowering to be able to say no and to be like, oh, that audition,
it doesn't feel right.
No thanks.
And the other aspect is you're reaching so many more people doing this thing that fulfills you more than anything than you would in a role that's not really you. As in you're acting, you're being somebody else, but you're reaching a different audience altogether.
Exactly. And I think you really do know when you're on the right path because you feel it, and everything flows. And yes, it still feels like hard work, but it's not that hard work that feels forced. It feels passionate, like you're taking inspired action instead of just action.
Absolutely.
And I think when you take inspired action, the law of attraction works with you. Because you're like, this feels good, I'm doing it because
and you're expanding, your soul or your beingness or whatever you want to call it is expanding and reaching more people, and you're learning more about yourself, and you're reflecting more, and you're like, oh, this just feels so good. Where, before you were saying how constricted you were with certain, things around acting. And you kind of like feel like you're more dense and like you can't really grow in that space either.
And it spills over to every aspect in your life as well. Like, I am like, I don't know, like happier in every area now. And I look back and I was like, oh, I was so constricted and I was angry and I had no self-worth and like that's what I was putting out there back
space,
then.
You're not self.
Yes,
as
exactly.
Someone, Kirsten would say.
You're not self.
It's kind of, it's a struggle. It's a struggle, isn't it? So the struggle is overwhelming. It takes away the ability to be in that inspired action. It takes the whale.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. I still, after years and years and years and years and years of asking for signs and getting them. I still cry when I get a sign.
Isn't it so magical?
It's so magical. It's like it's never boring, or it's never. I'm never like, oh, okay, thank you.
No,
I'm always like, oh, thank you. Like the trust comes straight back in.
And it's the trust, the faith, and the knowing of like how comforting that it's not just me. Like I'm supported.
Yes, you've got my back.
Yes, you're there.
Yes.
That's all I needed to know.
It's so beautiful.
I have the craziest sign story. Can I tell it? Okay, so it was my 3rd trip to LA. So I had a 3-year visa, but I could only ever go for a few months just because I hated being away. And I really didn't want to go, but I thought, it's my last year on my visa. I paid so much for this, and I felt like if I wasn't going, I was giving up. Yeah. So I was trying to say, like, I need a sign if I'm supposed to go or not. But at this point, I was going like next week. But I hadn't packed my suitcase. I hadn't taken any actions to go because I actually thought I might cancel the trip. So I was like, please just send me a sign, any sign. I just don't know if I'm supposed to go or not. And what I was having trouble with is I was having trouble with listening to my heart versus fear. Was it my gut saying no, or was it fear saying no?
Oh, this is so powerful.
So that's what I was having trouble with. Anyway, I went and sat in my car, and as I sat in my car, there was a 5-cent piece on my chair. I was like, that's random, like moved it, whatever. Didn't think anything of it. I then went to Pac Fair, I remember, and there was like a couple of 5-cent pieces as I was walking into Kmart, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to pick them up. I don't know what this means, whatever. Then when I went to the self-serve, I got the change out, and someone had left like 8 5-cent pieces. And I was like, okay, this is weird. Over the next few days, I had filled up like a little tin, like a small, like a half tin. But like 5-cent pieces. Still didn't know what it meant though, so I was getting kind of like...
But you must have been curious.
I was so curious. I was like, I can't wait to see what this means.
Yeah.
Anyway, it got to like maybe 3 days out, and I thought I better get my suitcase down. So my suitcase was up the very top of my wardrobe. I don't think I'd had it out until like a year before when I went on my LA trip. So I got the suitcase down. Oh. I opened it up, and there was a 5-cent piece in the middle of it.
Are you kidding me?
Doesn't end there.
Oh my God.
Then my nanny Waters, who is my biggest guardian angel, she died when I was 1, and I have a very, very strong and special connection with her. Like I actually feel like she's a part of me. It's crazy. Yeah. Mum actually had a really weird experience too, where she felt a part of Nanny Waters going into like 1-year-old me, which is so crazy.
No, I believe that stuff. Nanny Waters,
the teddy.
Waters.
Yeah, yes. The teddy, which I called Nanny Waters, I slept with for every night until I was like, I don't know, 10. She gave it to me when I was born. Yeah. As I opened the suitcase, I saw the 5-cent piece. The Nanny Waters teddy fell on top of the 5-cent piece.
Oh, God.
And I was just like, oh my God, like this is Nanny Waters, literally the teddy falling onto the 5-cent piece in the suitcase that I'm meant to take. Yeah. I went on the trip. It was the best LA trip I've ever been on. Fantastic. It was when I had my greatest ever manifestation story, and that manifestation story in LA was the moment where I said, I need to share this with the world, and that's when I came home and started my live events. Yes. So it all linked, and it was all literally,
I love that, like the whole thing about going to LA, like kind of finished on that note of transitioning into the space where you belong.
You're so right.
You kind of
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
You're so right, because it didn't end with acting. It ended with this is the birth of something bigger and something different and something closer to you.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. I know, like of course. And it was in like the last week that this happened as well.
Yeah.
The other thing too, I just want to say, just for our listeners too, that
I thought you were going to say you paid for the ticket with a 5-cent piece.
I thought she was going to say she needed like say 55 cents, to put towards something. I don't know, but that's just so beautiful, and
nanny blessings as well.
The fact that teddy then fell on, like the Nanny Waters teddy, not just any teddy, and it's been up in my cupboard for years. Yeah.
No, the one thing that I just want to say for our listeners too is that the most important part in this beautiful, beautiful story is that you are asking.
Yes.
You can't expect things to happen if you're not asking, and I think a lot of people forget to ask, and you really have to tune in and ask for specifically what it is you want, because you'll get it.
Yes.
If you trust and just let it be, like ask and then let it go. Like I did hear just recently on a YouTube channel, we're talking about this, and the channeler, it was actually a being being channeled through a lady. And they said, you know, it's like going into a restaurant and you order your food and you just know it's going to come.
Yeah.
Because you just ordered it. You don't think they're going to bring me a hamburger when you've ordered fish and chips. You know they're going to bring you fish and chips.
Yes.
So you order it and you let it go. You have to be like that when you're asking the universe.
That is such a good analogy.
Yeah, you have to actually go, I've ordered this, and now I'm going to just forget about it.
Yes.
You know, and I'm just going to wait for it to come.
And trust.
And
You've placed your order with the universe.
Yes.
And the thing is, have you heard Wayne Dyer's quote? And I'm probably going to butcher this. I always get it wrong. But it's something like, everything that now exists was once imagined, which means that everything that is now being imagined will exist.
Yes.
And it is true, like when we put our order in, or when we say to the universe what it is that we want, we've already created it. It's now just a matter of bringing it into your physical reality.
Yeah.
So super exciting, because like your biggest desire could be minutes away if you just align your energy and your vibration with it.
It's like we all have like our own aisle in the supermarket. This is Joe Handy's aisle, okay? And it's got everything in my world.
Iced chocolate.
And there's a robot going, okay, what does she want today? Okay, there we go.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Goes in there and then it gets delivered to us.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like that. That's what
Yeah.
you're saying. It's already there.
Already imagined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So exciting.
How
Love
beautiful.
Wayne Dyer.
Yay! Let's end it there.
No!
I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. This is so beautiful.
Well, we've kind of gone over.
Quite a few. I'm looking at the questions going, yep, we've done that one, we've done that one. But it'll be
But
nice to
sometimes
ask
asking
in
is
case
bring
we've missed
something else
anything.
up. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, what did you notice happening around you?
Like answers and abundance and clarity.
Yep.
I think.
Clarity. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that word.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, just like things were flowing.
So you were trusting more,
I was definitely trusting
which
more.
then allowed you to have more clarity because you were going, I can actually now see that if I just ask.
Yeah.
So things got really simplified for you in your world too, I can imagine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, I guess it really was, I know I've said this already, but it was that giving up the control and the urge to control. Like we have this natural urge, it's normal.
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest changes too was actually identifying my limiting beliefs and acknowledging them rather than just burying them.
Yeah.
And like knowing and just saying to myself, it's okay and it's normal that you have these limiting beliefs. And I think what I've learned too is that limiting beliefs, you know, we have the obvious ones that we can identify, like the I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm always the single one, or I'm always sick, whatever. But it's the limiting beliefs that present as protective mechanisms or as positive. They're the ones that get me. And actually recently I found this like limiting belief that I had. Sorry, this is going off topic.
No, it's
No,
perfect.
question.
No,
Okay,
not at
there's
all.
no such thing as off topic.
I realised that I had a limiting belief that was presenting as both a protective mechanism and positive, which was I have enough. And why I say this is that I have enough can be quite a grateful and nice kind of mindful thing to say, because like I love where I am, I'm so grateful, of course. So I was doing that, but I was going further than that. And why it happened was I had a friend say to me, you're so lucky, like with Pass Around the Smile, things just seem to happen for you and fall into your lap. And it actually kind of upset me. She meant well, but it upset me because I was like, I've worked really hard for this.
And this is the point.
But what happened when she said that is I thought, oh no, I'm too much right now. And I felt really greedy for manifesting more when I already had enough. You know, I have my beautiful husband, our beautiful puppy Crumpet, obsessed with her, my beautiful family, I live in a beautiful place. I am loving what I'm doing. And I thought, who am I to keep manifesting, keep asking for more? So I stopped. I dulled my shine to make others comfortable. And I know we shouldn't do this.
Say that again.
I dulled my shine to make others comfortable.
Oh my God.
And I realized after about 3 to 4 months that while it is beautiful and grateful to be like, I'm so thankful for what I have, and what I have is more than enough, but I am more than deserving of more.
Who says
what's
that's enough?
Yeah,
what is
exactly.
enough?
Wow.
I did for
Yeah.
like 3 months, and I didn't really realize how powerful it was. And yeah, I was worried about like the judgment from other people that I was doing well, or that, you know, and yeah, so I've realized that limiting beliefs can present in such weird ways. And another limiting belief I feel that I talk about in my courses is like, it's just not the right time, or I'm just not ready yet.
I'm talking about this morning.
It's like sometimes, yeah, but are you just scared of success?
Exactly.
Or are you just fearing failure? You know?
I'll just wait until.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or I'll be happy when.
When.
I'll be confident when.
Uh-uh.
I'll be secure when.
Yeah. It doesn't work that
No.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When is
That is
Because then
such
we're putting conditions on our happiness. Yeah.
Conditions, that's a beautiful word.
Yeah.
And that whole limiting, it's like, it's back to that constriction, you know, there's no space around you as soon as you have any kind of belief that allows you to stay in one spot. When we allow ourselves to have like way more than enough, even the word enough, let's just get rid of that word.
Get rid of it. Yeah.
To be able to have everything, there's so much space around us to be able to, for the universe pick up and go, oh wow, there she is, you know, let's give her this and that.
Yes. And the thing is, when we're manifesting, there is an infinite abundance for anyone. So like, just because I manifest this certain opportunity doesn't mean that someone else can't. Because that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh gosh, I don't want to take up too much space or too much time or too much good stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, no, if I get something good, I'm going to inspire someone else to get something good as well.
Absolutely.
And
That's
so
a
create more
that's a
energy
big one,
around it.
and you know the whole tall poppy syndrome, which is huge in Australia, which we're becoming more aware of that. But it's like I love the fact it's a bit like the podcast, isn't it? It's like, oh, there's so many other podcasts.
Oh,
There's no one like us.
No, there's not.
There's no one like Amanda. There's no one like me. There's no one like you.
Yeah,
It's like,
Cleo has a
we
podcast,
all need to have our own essence, and we need to
Yes.
share that with
Yes.
everyone. And
What
then
is it?
Back each other.
Collaboration over competition.
Oh my god!
I love that.
Yes.
And especially for being so sick of competition in the acting industry. It's like, collaborate. Who cares? We're all on our own path.
Absolutely.
We can all succeed together. Like,
Yes.
there is more than enough for everyone.
I agree.
And when we're manifesting too, the universe can't tell the difference between big and small.
No.
Like, the universe can't tell the difference between $2 and 20,000, but it's us who perceive as maybe 20,000 is harder to attract.
Yes.
But it's not.
No.
So we have to train our minds.
Well, I think
Yes,
that's a big.
yeah.
I think it's a big planetary condition, or it's a big program on the
Program.
planet that there's not enough.
I agree.
Yeah, there's not enough. So, you know, you think of $1 billion and it's like so out of your realm of thinking, but hey, no. You know, it's only because we're being conditioned to think like that.
Yes, and conditioned to think that $1 billion will be hard to attract.
Yes.
And it's like Henry Ford's quote, whether you think you can or think you can't, you are right.
Yeah.
So whether you think it's hard to
Yes.
attract or you think it's easy to attract, you are right.
Yes.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
we've been programmed to believe that money is hard to hold on to.
Yeah.
Success takes years of hard work. And it's like, it only takes years of hard work if you tell yourself.
Absolutely.
It takes years of hard work.
Yeah.
And if
Do
that's the
less
way
and
you want to
attract
go,
more.
then that's fine as well. Like if you like, you know, that process of being, you know, slow and steady, that's great.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't have to be that way.
No, and like I
Yeah.
think there's a difference too with you can be slow and steady and forcing it
Yes.
and hating it and being met with
Grinding.
blocks, or you can be slow and steady like I was with Pass Around the Smile, but taking inspired action. Like
Yeah.
I still worked really hard, but it always felt backed with inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah, putting down
Because
foundations.
like it was hard work, but
Yeah.
it felt right,
Yeah.
felt good.
Yeah. There was always space. It feels like when
Yeah.
you talk about it, it always feels like there's lots of space around you.
Yeah.
You know, lots
Yeah.
of room.
Well, inspired
and space,
action
yeah.
is pretty much nails
That's a
it.
beautiful, yeah. God, this is so
Yeah.
this is so powerful because, you know, I mean, I work with young girls and
Yeah.
in grade 6, and it's like, you know, there's a lot of comparison going on. And I'm like,
yeah.
as soon as you compare yourself with somebody else, you're actually handing over your power
Yes.
to someone else.
You're
and
so
that's
right.
why you feel less straight away.
Yeah.
You know, we're all amazing beings.
Yeah.
We all have amazing gifts. We're all so unique. Let's inspire each other, you know.
Yeah.
And another quote that I really love is, what someone else thinks of you is none of your business.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's like, yes. Like, it's so powerful.
It's so
you know,
powerful.
because we walk
Yeah.
around trying to impress or do the
they
right
like me?
thing, or do they like me, or I'll say
Seeking
this.
validation
Yeah,
and
seeking validation and all of that. And at the end of the day, when you become more aware and conscious of who you are, and it is a definite personal journey, and it's all about the inner work. You only have yourself to be responsible for.
Yes.
You have no control over what anyone else thinks about you, or what they do, or any of that. So just live it like Cleo has been doing fully, and just go for it.
Yeah, and enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process.
Yeah.
So incredible.
So I want to just reflect back on, because when you were saying about identifying your limiting beliefs, was that when you started working with your psychologist, or was there like tools that you were leaning into around that awareness, like to identify those things? Because now it seems like it's something that, you know, you've got that awareness, like, this is happening.
Yeah.
But how did that all start?
It actually started when I first started my events.
Okay.
So my Pass Around the Smile events, there was a whole section on limiting beliefs, but I was really passionate about going deeper than the obvious ones. And what I love to do in my 4-week courses is I grab people's limiting beliefs, whether they're the obvious ones or the hard to identify ones, and flip them, because I really got into this kind of like study around paradigms. So paradigms is like, you know, it's like a program in our mind, and the limiting beliefs are formed usually from a young age through repetition or through emotion. And I realized that when I was younger, I put up my hand in class to answer a question, and one of the boys said, "You can't answer that. You're not smart enough."
So doing that.
All the time.
It was said to me once, but it was hit with me through emotion.
Yeah.
So I then kept that limiting belief, and it sat so deep in my subconscious that it became a part of me. So it's really hard to identify. But then what I did is I create a statement that contradicts that. So I am smart enough, I am capable, and we go way deeper into it.
Yeah.
But I think that's really powerful.
Yeah.
But also knowing that, like, a common one with repetition is that if you grow up in a family that, you know, is constantly said to you, money doesn't grow on trees, money's hard to come by.
You got to work hard.
Yep.
To earn a living.
Money's evil.
Yeah.
You know, through repetition,
Money
this
will change
paradigm
you.
is
Money will
created.
change you in the wrong way.
Yes. Yeah, you'll become greedy.
Law of attraction, that's where it comes into play too.
Exactly.
And it's a subconscious law of attraction.
Yes.
So
and
you don't even know you're doing it.
Exactly right. And that's like, say if I grew up in that way, right? And I had a limiting belief that money was hard to come by. But if I was actively using the law of attraction to manifest money, so I was like, you know, doing the visualization, I was feeling the feelings, I was journaling it, I was acting as if I already had the money, I'm not going to get it.
It's counterintuitive, isn't it?
Yes. If my subconscious is saying that I can't hold on to money, they're contradicting energies.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's still energy working against each other.
Yeah.
So one's going this way and one's going that way. So it's like we're coming back to the limiting belief.
Exactly. Always. It's the deepest.
Yeah.
You got to undo them first before you start manifesting.
Well, this is so beautiful because I've just been not studying. I don't like to use that word.
Absorbing.
I don't think I ever study anything. Absorbing. Bruce Lipton talks about this.
I love Bruce Lipton.
Yes.
Yes.
So I've been doing this thing where, because the question was, how do you get rid of these limiting beliefs? And he said the only way that he knows, there's probably many ways, is this: when your brain state is in the theta state, which is the first 30 minutes when you go to sleep at night and the first 30 minutes when you wake up.
Yeah.
So to be able to listen to some self-hypnosis affirmations to change that limiting belief.
Yes.
Because it goes very deep into the deep recesses of the brain, the subconscious, and changes that belief. But you have to do it. It's a bit like a muscle. You have to do it over and over to strengthen it. So,
through the same way it was formed.
Absolutely.
Through emotion and repetition.
Yes.
So he's so great.
He's great, yeah.
Oh.
So that's really interesting that this topic's come up because the subconscious mind is so powerful, as we all know.
Yeah.
And can sit there so quietly.
Yeah, so quietly.
Unassuming, you know, blah, 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 blah.
And trying to protect us.
Yes.
That's the thing. Like, a lot of times our limiting beliefs are just protecting us from failure or judgment. But it's like then we just sit stagnant.
And the money thing's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like, because most Australians, we've grown up with, you have to work hard to make a living. We even see it in ads, you know, beer ads, smoking ads, solo ads.
So true.
Like, it's being subliminally told us through every avenue.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden we're like, yeah, my parents are right, you know, this and this, and then it becomes this very deep condition that we sit with.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there's a big difference between what you're describing, like between the heart and the mind. Like the mind is holding on to this conditioning belief, and the heart is just trying to like survive through that, isn't it? Like you can And it's going, but I know I can feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something so different.
I
But the
know.
mind's going, no.
Yes. I just did a podcast that was called "The Heart Knows Things That Your Mind Can't Explain,"
Oh,
and it's
lovely.
so true.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, like
Is that one of yours?
Yeah, that's
So
my
people
latest
can listen
episode.
to that on
Yeah.
through your website.
The heart knows.
yeah, or Pass Around the Smile just on Spotify or
Oh,
Apple
yay.
Podcasts.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
I actually just got number 1 on the Apple Podcast charts for spirituality.
Excellent.
Oh my
Well
god,
done.
I couldn't believe it.
High five!
Oh my
That's
god, I was
cool.
so shocked. I was like, what does this mean?
That is so
It's a
cool.
sign.
It's
It's
a
a
sign
sign.
that you're doing something amazing.
Yeah,
That's
people
cool.
are listening.
Thank
People are
you.
listening.
Yes, it feels right. It feels
Yeah.
right. Though again, I wish I could say I did the podcast when I first wanted to, but I didn't. It took me years to get the confidence up and to squash the limiting beliefs before I did it.
It's
Timing is
it's-
everything. I feel
I
like
agree. And you know, the
can't
funny thing
judge
is,
that. Yeah.
it's so subtle. When there's a major shift, the universe doesn't necessarily go bang. Here's a whale. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes the biggest
Exactly.
things can be the most subtle things, and you have to actually be in this very still space
Yeah.
to get it. It's
You're
like,
exactly right.
I'm going to give you this big thing, and
Yeah.
it's going to change your life, but you have to be in a place of stillness,
Awareness.
Awareness.
Ready to receive.
ready to receive, to hear it.
Yeah. No, you just said that so well, and it's so true, and it's exciting,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because we can all be in that state,
Yeah.
but we're trying to control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's more joy when you know, hindsight's such a beautiful thing because there's more joy when you realise that. You're like, oh yeah, because what keeps coming in for me, not as big, but I separated from my husband, which we're back together now, a long time ago.
Thank God.
Yeah. a long time ago. And I had to change my whole life.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
one of those things was I had to get a full-time job because I had 2 young kids.
Right.
And I went for this one job and I really didn't want it. And so I actually threw the lady's number in the bin. Anyway, she rang me back. And for some reason, this is all the little things now that you look back and you go, wow. The message cut out and all it said was such and such from this store. Really loved your interview. Can you call me back on 04? And that lost the last bit. And I'm like, oh no, you know. And I really needed this job. So I ended up going through the rubbish bin to find her number, and I found it.
Oh.
So all the little things, you know, that
The
you have
little
to do.
things add up.
Rang her and she said, look, I know you don't have experience as a manager, but I'd love you to offer you the manager's role. And I'm
Oh
like,
my god.
Oh, okay.
like, okay. So I got this job and I worked this role for 10 years and I loved it.
Wow. See, if it's meant to be, it won't miss you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was exactly what you were saying. I didn't really want that role. I wanted something more glitzy and glamorous
There you
and,
go.
you know, blah, blah, blah. But this role was absolutely perfect and
How nice.
where
Was
I
it-
needed to be.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
Yeah. And it changed my whole life. So it was like, yay.
Because I guess the ego part of you would have wanted the glitz and the glamour. And
Absolutely.
it's the same as me. The
Yes.
ego part of me wanted the big blockbuster film.
Yeah.
But it's not actually what my heart wanted.
Yeah.
No way.
Exactly. So it's interesting, isn't it? It's
It's
always so
so-
subtle and you have to
love
work a little bit harder. Yeah.
I love these topics. It just make me so excited.
Well, it's the universe at play, and I think that's the part that ignites us. You know,
Yes.
that we love knowing that there's something bigger outside of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like the law of attraction, like I said before, sometimes it can seem too good to be true, but it's just another law. Like the law of gravity is a law,
Yeah.
and we have no choice but to believe that it's real because we can like see it happening when we drop something. It drops to the floor. But the law of attraction is just that strong and just that viable, but it's made up of energy. So sometimes we perceive that it's not real or
Yep.
it's too good to be true. But like the science that backs the law of attraction is incredible.
Absolutely.
So the more we know about it, and it's always working, that's the thing. Like, and we know, like, you know, if you wake up in a bad mood and then
Yep.
you stub your toe and then
Yeah.
you burn your toast, it's like, that's
Yes.
the law of attraction working, but in the way that you don't want it to.
Because it can work in the negative. This is
Exactly.
the other
Yeah.
part that people
Yeah.
need to know too, is that, you know, be careful what you ask for.
Exactly.
Because you'll get exactly what you ask for. The universe doesn't
Yeah.
care
No.
if you're asking for something bad or
Yeah.
whatever. It'll give you what you
Well, you
what
don't always
need.
think you're asking for something
No.
bad, but you don't realise what strings are attached to
Exactly.
it, kind of thing. You know, like imagine, you know, if you'd been swallowed up by Hollywood,
Yeah.
you know.
Where would you be? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was so not,
Yeah.
And I actually get this question a lot through Pass Around the Smile, which is like, oh, I'm so afraid I'm going to manifest something bad. And what I do say to that is that it can be scary, but you've got to think of the work that it takes to manifest something good as well.
Yeah.
You still have to take inspired action toward getting that thing. So it's like, are you really taking inspired action to this bad thing that maybe popped into your mind? Probably not.
Yeah.
So I just say that to like eliminate a bit of fear, because you don't want to think like, oh, you know, our minds can go crazy. Oh, I've just thought about this car crash. You're not going to go and have a car crash.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But
And
it's
I think
just
sometimes like those things come into our mind again because that's another form of the self-limiting belief, isn't it? Like, if I ask for this thing, I'm going to have a car crash. I mean, isn't that crazy how we do that to ourselves, isn't it? We're going to ask for something, but then something's going to be taken away, or
we're going to lose something.
Lose something, and I think too that sometimes there's an element that that we all carry as beings with different timelines and past lives and things around the whole medicine woman, village healer, white witch, black witch, the energy of working with these energies and frequencies. Is there's been so many disempowering experiences or life-taking experiences that we all carry little shadows around. But what if I am successful in making my dreams come true? What if I am powerful in being who I am here to be?
That's
what
so
if
nice.
it's kind of like
Nelson
shadows,
Mandela did a
it?
beautiful speech about that, didn't he? What if my light is brighter or something?
I think I know the one you're talking about.
But it's something like that. We're afraid of our light. It's our light that we're afraid of, not our shadow.
That's not. That is so true. And so many of us, we do fear success. And for so long, I didn't realize I was fearing success, because the success that I wanted
was different.
It wasn't what I wanted. But like at the time, I was so sure it was. But we do fear success, and that's normal, but it's all about identifying it, journaling, letting it like be. It's okay, you know, not being hard on yourself.
I got tattoos all over myself.
Let go and trust.
And surrender. Just to remind myself, but I got them on the wrong side. That's for everybody else, not me. I'm like,
maybe it's because people need to read it.
No, and they said, most people say, what is that on your arm? And I go, it's let go and trust. Thanks for the sign.
Thanks for asking.
Thanks for asking. I needed that today. So bizarre. This is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So let's, wow, we've done that. I'm going to go to this. So what do you now do to support yourself with staying in the moment? And on that question too, I just want to add a little bit. Because I know you mentioned before about you were confused about what was your heart saying and then what was your head saying. How do you know now that answer?
Is the fear? It was the heart and the fear.
Yes.
Still struggle because it's hard.
It is hard.
And I guess depending on the situation. But I will always meditate on it, journal, and then do a card pull. And I'll do it in that order. And then I will journal the cards I pull with a date so I can look back at how they always align. Like they always tell you what you need to know. And I think to become present, I do the same thing. And limit time on my phone. It's hard.
Hallelujah. Thank you for sharing that. Because that is a big one, isn't it? Especially because like part of what you do is a media aspect to it, like socials and things like that. It is hard to create healthy boundaries around that and not get pulled into, especially when you take time to reply to people or be interactive and things like that.
And I think with Pass Around the Smile, because I do hold these courses where people will ask me very personal questions and I will help them, they then contact me.
And
I've got to remind them that I'm not a psychologist as well. And and I do a lot of that because I do believe that like I'm not the one to help when it gets to a certain stage. Like I can help you with some surface level limiting beliefs and some manifestation, but
inspired
I get
action.
some pretty intense messages, and I'm always the first to refer them to a psychologist. But like going on my phone is work. So it's really hard because if I want to like respond to say a text from my best friend at 8 p.m. at night, I'll open my phone and then I may as well just check Instagram while I'm here. I may as well reply to these DMs about work. Well, this shop wants to stock my stuff. If I don't reply straight away, they might not stock it. So then I'm replying to that. Like,
how's the trap?
Midnight comes around.
So I have have struggled with that in the past. Yeah.
Well, we actually talk about this a lot too, the distractions that are around at the moment, because there seems to be two worlds.
Yes.
You know, there's this world of the glitz and glam, and there's Instagram and how you look and how people look on it and what they're doing, and
There's
what you're missing out on the FOMO and all of that kind of stuff, which is all a distraction to stop you from going within and finding the joy and all of that within.
Exactly right.
Because you'll never find it externally.
And we so often seek it externally, right? Like answers and guidance from other people or like psychics or whoever. And that's all good and fine. Yep. But it's fine if you're not in a vulnerable state. Yeah. Like if you know kind of who you are and what you want, then go and see a psychic. Go on to a spiritual healer. But I feel like in my most vulnerable, I was constantly seeking answers from, external sources, but the answer was always inside of me. I just had to quiet my mind and listen because it was always there. Yeah. And I feel like that can be it can be exciting and frustrating at the same time to hear, because there'll probably be your listeners going like, no, I actually don't know what I want to do. I don't know what makes me happy. The answer isn't inside of me. I've tried. Yeah. But it is. Yeah. And that's exciting because you don't, like you can do the work now and you can find it out. Like you don't have to wait for someone else to tell you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it comes down to that thing of like loving yourself enough and trusting yourself.
And asking.
And just like not expecting the miracle overnight. Just if it's one step.
Yes.
And it might be a conversation that you have with someone, or it might be
that's a miracle.
The colour of the t-shirt you put on that actually makes you feel different to the black one or the green one or the it's fun. I've done a couple of times experimented with my wardrobe to change the way I feel, and it's quite funny the different day you have, or the days you put the t-shirt on inside out accidentally, and then you laugh at yourself at the end of the day and go, that says a lot.
It all links with the chakras, I reckon, like the colours you wear. And like when I'm doing readings for people, when I'm doing readings for people, I see colours of the chakras, and it's always like in alignment with what they need to hear and stuff. But it's true, I've heard actually one of my friends, Laura, she'll wear the colours of the chakra that she is struggling with at that moment. Fantastic. She said it will always help her.
And again, it's like just your environment, changing your environment even in those subtle ways can be extremely powerful, because
celebrate every small shift, like as well as like it doesn't have to, you don't have to wait to celebrate big shifts, because if you're celebrating all the small things, you're like more grateful, and then when you're more grateful, you make room for more of what you want to materialize.
Because this is the thing, like sometimes when people are talking, like in these environments, like when we're sharing around people's awakenings and journeys, people's stories, it's a condensed moment of a lot of moments. And like, so when you were 11 to then when you were 15 and then finishing year 12 to now, how old are you, Cleo?
29.
See, magic. There's
such a baby.
It's these journeys. I know,
so
it's beautiful, but how wise.
We all need a piece of Cleo. We seriously do. Just a little piece. So beautiful. Well, it's so lovely.
Your cards and your journals are so you're sharing pieces of you with everyone in that way, aren't you?
Oh, it does. Like I just love my products, like so much magic and so much good energy went into creating them, and it was just such a beautiful process, which I think is why I do believe there's proper magic in the cards. Like the messages I get of people being like, what have you done? Like the same card keeps coming out and I'm like, yep, the same card will keep coming out until you listen to that message. It's crazy, but I'm obsessed with them.
Well, this is the funny thing too, which I talked about with a friend this morning, around purpose, because that seems to be a big word, you know, and it can be a big buzzword, but it can also be a very deep word. And, a lot of people ask this question. It's what we're all here for. And, a lot of people struggle with it. Yeah. And I did hear someone talk about this the other day, and it was around people coming and having sessions with them. And the biggest question was, I just want to know what my purpose is. And they said that as long as we're planting a seed for people to evolve, then you're set. That's your purpose.
That's nice.
And I was like, that's so nice, because there's so many of us that are just wanting to share something that we've learnt through our own journey, which has helped us, made us a better human, that we then go and share that with others, which is exactly what you're doing. And when you say there's magic in your cards, there most certainly is, because you've experienced it, you've walked it, and now you're sharing it. and you're planting a seed with somebody else.
Yeah.
So you're
that's so
fulfilling
nice.
the purpose.
Your intention is
Is
of
there.
high vibration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we love a high vibration. Thank you.
Yeah.
Gabby Bernstein says something similar where she said, as long as what you're asking for is for the highest good for all. And it's so true. And like, it doesn't mean that you have to go and start a charity.
No.
It just means like, what is it that you want? Okay, do you want to become a teacher? Okay, well, you are going to help children.
Yeah.
And even if it is something that can seem materialistic, I talk about this on my money mindset episode, because some people are scared to, like, say if they want a handbag, for example, you're still allowed to manifest a handbag.
Absolutely.
But maybe think of it in a way that, you know what, when I get that handbag, my kids are going to see that hard work pays off.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're going to see mum really proud
Yes.
and just so happy wearing a handbag and confident, and you know.
Yes.
So think of it in another way. You can attract and ask for anything that you want. It doesn't matter if it seems materialistic, but is there a reason behind it? Like,
Is there a
if you
purpose,
want
yeah.
money, do you want money to take your family on a holiday that you're all going to remember forever? Then great.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
do I
It's
just
still
want
for the
money
highest
'cause
good
it's
for all.
I just want money in my bag.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah. Have a
around.
reasoning
Yeah.
behind it. It will make it easier for you to manifest it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah,
so
actually,
powerful.
and you know, this beautiful person, Brooke, came on, and her mantra for a couple of years to shift her life.
Oh, yeah.
Her mindset was to say yes
To
every
everything.
opportunity.
Oh, Brooke
With it-
Chamberlain.
yes.
Yes. I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, she's got such a beautiful, positive attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That was
with,
wild.
you
She's
know,
pregnant.
Yeah,
She is
about to have a
pregnant.
baby.
Congratulations,
Yes.
Mummy.
Yay,
But it's that thing around, you know, her intentions around what she wanted saying yes to bring,
Yeah.
and it just kept creating an energy for her.
It was
because-
exciting, wasn't it? When she was sharing it, I could feel it. It was
That's
like
so cool.
hearing
Yeah.
your journey. It's like you ride along with them, and you can feel the
Yeah.
excitement
Yes.
that she was having, and the same
Yeah.
with you. It's like,
Yeah.
and that's what it's all about. It's that
Yeah.
space that you hold, which we can feel. It's like the container.
Yes.
You know, that we can feel that excitement, and it inspires us and
Oh.
inspires our listeners,
Yeah.
and you know, it spreads, and that's purpose.
Yeah.
That's the gift of essence and the gift of purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Ah, so our lucky last question. It's gone so quickly. Wow, how beautiful. How does Cleo see the world now, and what do you see next for you?
Oh. Big question. I think I see the world with just infinite possibilities, and like there is just so much that we can't see.
Yeah.
And
That's so true.
yeah, I just really try to sit in that trust of, I see one way, but like, for example, I am trying to manifest a house with a pool for Luke and I. But my mind is saying, you know, well, you're not going to have enough money, or you're not, you know, it can't happen in that amount of time. But yes, it can.
Yeah.
The universe will sort it out if it's meant to be.
Yeah.
So just, I think that's how I see the world, as really exciting, because there are so many possibilities that we can't yet see. And I love looking back and seeing how everything worked out and kind of made sense. And then up next, was that what you said?
Yes.
Up next, I guess just continuing doing what I'm doing, really.
Yeah.
And I'm about to bring my 4-week Guide to Happiness course back.
Oh, beautiful.
And, yeah, I'm
we'll pop all the
holding-
links.
Oh,
for that too.
great.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I'm actually co-hosting my first retreat as well.
Yay!
Yeah, in Sunshine Coast.
Oh, that would be
nervous but
fun.
excited.
If
Yeah.
any listeners are, you know, want a bit of Cleo vibe, sorry, jump on in. That will be amazing.
I think it'll be really, I'm really excited about it, because like, for example, we did an event the other week, which was so beautiful, and I did it with 3 other women, and I loved it, but we only had 20 minutes each. And when you're talking about these
big
topics,
things. Yeah.
20 minutes doesn't
is
cut
not
it.
enough.
Just
Yeah.
warming up.
Yeah, just literally just warming up, not even.
Yeah.
And so 3-day retreat, I'm so excited to actually help people make changes.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. Like, when I do my workshops, I'm like, oh, yes, see, we did it.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so
Amazing.
powerful.
Yeah.
So 3-day retreat coming up, and then the 4-week guide. Do you do that online, the 4-week
So,
guide, or is it?
it's online, and I used to do it as interactive, like live, but I'm actually going to pop it up so people can do it whenever. Yeah, because that was a big thing. Like, I can't make it. So I'm going to pop it up. It will still be like a month or so away, but I'm really proud of that course.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's a lot of work goes into it.
Workshops, that stuff.
And the content that you want to share with everybody. Linking it all together, and it's definitely I'll say a labour of love, but it's not really a labour when you love what you're doing.
That's you should put that on a t-shirt.
I put I saw a guy wearing a t-shirt. Speaking of t-shirts, wearing a t-shirt one day. It had a big sunshine face on it. And said, "Washing my face in sunshine," and I was like, "That's my vitamin cleanser.
Yes,
I want that t-shirt for my, that's what that feels like for me.
Yeah.
And t-shirts just jump out at you sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I can just see. Have you got t-shirts yet? Is that no?
I have. Yeah. They're actually. I think I have one design still left. The others sold out. I did like a 90 with a big moon on it, and that sold out pretty quickly. But then I had a Good Vibrations t-shirt with a sun, and then I've got a 70s sun t-shirt as well. Yeah.
I actually saw one the other day that was on the back, and it said, "Forever, for anyone that's reading this, you are loved, you are appreciated," or something like that. And it was just like, that's so
nice
lovely, because you do read, what's on the back of people's t-shirts.
Totally.
It's so lovely.
I might not see your face, but I can feel you.
Yeah. And imagine the good vibes that person would have got to that's wearing that t-shirt, because everybody would have been like, thank you, that's so sweet.
And that energy is like going to them. Do you know there's machines that can actually photograph energy leaving the body?
Wow. The aura ones, they have at the Crystal Castle, is it those ones?
I think those, and then I think there's like even like the scientists, because it was like in some study I read, and I was just like, oh my God, like it goes to show the energy that we're giving out and the energy that we receive. It's real.
Yeah.
It's funnily enough, over the weekend I was just looking for a little moment of diversion, so I put on YouTube, and I don't know why, but Celestine Prophecy popped up.
Great movie.
I love
great
that book. I've never seen the movie, and it's really, you can see it was a low budget, but the intention
didn't matter.
Huge.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Just really was a great visit into that whole process of energy exchange and the law of attraction, and where you put your focus, and holding space, and listening, looking for the signs, everything we've been talking about today. It was just a beautiful moment to sit in and just...
We can really, I'm just thinking too that, we can really simplify our life too by just following these simple everyday...
Absolutely.
And not make it complicated.
Yes.
It's just like, it's ask and trust and then wait.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Jim Carrey has this quote. He said, "As far as I can tell, it's about asking for what you want while working toward it while letting go of how it comes to pass."
Yeah.
And I like that. He has some incredible law of attraction stories.
Yes, because he's big on that, isn't he?
Yeah, like he wrote himself a check for $10 million when he was homeless, and wrote on the check for acting services rendered. And then he made $10 million on Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, no way. Isn't that beautiful?
And what a fabulous movie that is. It's just so funny. It just lifts you up there no matter how many times you watch it.
I'm just thinking of the face, the teeth and everything. It's so funny.
Stuck to the ice pole.
Yes.
Hot chili.
Alrighty.
And you have meditations as well. We haven't touched on that.
I do.
Yeah, which I thought was beautiful.
Yeah, I have meditations, and I have 2 on my podcast that people can listen to for free and then just see, because sometimes you resonate with people's voices, sometimes you don't.
Absolutely.
And then I've got the rest on my passaroundthesmile.com, which people can download, and that's where like my cards and my journals and my crystals and everything is.
Perfect. That's a great way to round it off.
Yes.
We will put all of Cleo's info on the bottom of the podcast. Thank you so much, honey, for coming in. You seriously have the best vibe about you. It was really, 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 really beautiful. You've inspired me, that's for sure.
So
thank you so much for having me. That was a really fun chat. I feel great.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you, gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and remember, all links to our guest are in the notes. Leave us a comment here or message us on Instagram how our guest today connected with you, or perhaps something you wish to share. A special thank you to the blissful Ksenia Luki for our theme song. Joe and I will be with you next week.
Bye.
Ciao.